What do you want for Christmas? Do you want a divorce or do you want an annulment?
Or do you want a new car? But I think this annulment's really interesting, and people just don't really understand it. And I think a lot of attorneys don't really understand it. Annulment has a whole list of things you can do.
So depending on your circumstances, you might want an annulment for after the holidays. You might want a divorce. I don't know, but either way, we can help you.
Welcome to the Exit Strategy, your no bullshit guide to divorce with the experienced attorneys from New Direction Family Law. Unfiltered discussions to help you move from victim to victorious and from bitter to better.
Hi, everyone. It's Elizabeth Stephenson with New Direction Family Law.
And Sarah Hink, Elizabeth's law partner. We are here to talk to you today about a couple different things, like what do you want for Christmas? Do you want a divorce or do you want an annulment?
Or do you want a new car?
We were trying to think of a holiday topic, and we got derailed and went off the annulment.
But I think this annulment's really interesting, and people just don't really understand it. And I think a lot of attorneys don't really understand it.
Right. And there's a few grounds in North Carolina. Every state is different. So make sure that if you're listening to different states.
We're attorneys, but we're not your attorneys.
Yeah, we're North Carolina.
Right.
And there's a few grounds for annulments in North Carolina. You got to think about this annulment. So your marriage just never happened.
Right. It's
and
like,
what's not going to apply are the laws of
alimony or property
distribution.
Exactly. And so in North Carolina, there's only one way to get a divorce is that you've been separated a year and a day. That's it. We're in a default state. But annulment has a whole list of things you can do.
Yeah.
But they're very specific.
Very specific. So one of them, bigamy.
Correct. And it's been a while, but I had a case like that and found out, I don't know how we found it out, but came here, been here a while, they were married, then come to find out, got reached out by somebody in Texas. And so we started doing some sort of investigation and found out no divorce decree. So they were still married. And this happened 20 years ago. And so 20 years, been married to this person all this time. Nope, it was a bigamous marriage. You're annulled. You get nothing. Yeah. Basically.
Which I've been on the other side where my client wasn't the bigamist, but we didn't want an annulment because we wanted half of his money.
Right,
so we weren't going to bring that up. But we did threaten the criminal statute.
Right.
It's a criminal statute in North Carolina too, bigamy. So there was some threats of that, but we didn't have to go that far, thankfully.
Good to know.
That is something that will get you annulled if you can prove it and show it.
Right, but you think about it. All you have to do, got married in a really long time, but I remember you have to go to the Register of Deeds, get your marriage license. You have to go in person still, and you have to say how many times you've been married. And nobody checks any of that stuff.
No.
Did you check? See if Jamie was married before?
No, I probably gave him a look.
But you might want to run a little, just in this day and age, it gets a little screwy.
That's all. I did have a client once who dated her husband for 2-3 years and didn't find out until that moment that he had been previously married like 3 times. You have that conversation before you go for your marriage license.
But you could do, if you never ask, maybe they just don't tell you, you don't know.
Who doesn't ask these questions?
I know, but there ought to be some database or call a PI or something if you have
that's probably
your spidey sense comes up.
We're good attorneys. Ask a million questions.
That's right. So if you come to us for a prenup, we might start doing that. That's a good idea, actually.
I put it, I have a whole paragraph for previous marriages.
Yeah, but we should run a little background check too.
Yeah.
So there you go.
There we go. What's the next ground we have?
Let's see. I have one or both spouses were underage. So that can be kind of tricky because you can be underage in North Carolina. If you have your parents' consent, then you're okay to do that.
Yeah, under 16.
Or if you're under 16, you need your parents' permission. But over 16...
I guess knock yourself out. Yeah. But and that goes to mental capacity as well. Under 16, obviously, are you in the right mind to say yes to marriage and all that? But you might be well over 18 and not have the mental capacity to consent to marriage.
Right. And I haven't had one of those, but there is mental illness. It has to be severe mental illness for annulment. It's not like, you had a 30-day stint or 10-day stint at Holly Hill or something.
Yeah.
It's something that's really debilitating, that somebody could be institutionalized. So you really don't have a relationship or a marriage because you're not together. Or,
Right.
You know.
Okay.
And they can't understand the nuances of it or anything like that. Either.
Right. And also just on the flip side of that too is, we have the year-long separation period in North Carolina. However, if there is severe mental incapacity, then it's 3 years or insanity, right?
Right. I think that's correct.
I did have a divorce with that. They objected to the divorce going through after the year period, saying that the other person, their client, was.
What do they have to prove?
insanity.
Do you remember? Like, were
I got out
they
of that case. It was
institutional?
No, he wasn't, and there was no reason for that. And it was just really a way to complicate things
No.
and prolong the litigation.
Well,
Back to the age of consent. I had a follow-up question on
Yes.
that. So it's 16 in our state.
Yes.
right.
So like some like creepy 25-year-old can just get the 16-year-old's parents to sign off and that's okay? That's not statutory rape anymore?
No. Marriage
Not if
protects
you're
you
married. Well, that's not true. There can be rape in marriage, but I mean, it wouldn't be statutory under the statute, I guess, if you're married.
Yeah, it'd be I don't have consent to have sex.
Correct.
Which can happen
But
at any
right,
age.
Right. I agree.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's a creepy road to go down there.
Yeah.
And every state has different age limits for marriage, and
I heard a stand-up comedian say that Mississippi was 14.
probably.
Yeah, there's some states, that are doing that. They're making that even more states are doing that, making it younger and younger and younger to have consent.
Yeah, I've actually argued in custody cases. Dad relocated to one of them states, and I was like, nope, not sending these girls down there to live. look at these laws.
I agree. I can't say I disagree with that.
Yeah.
Oh, impotence. Mm-hmm. You're impotent.
So you have to have the doctor come out and say that they can't consummate the marriage.
Right.
Give you a doctor's note. I'm like, oh, sorry.
Can't do that. And the other thing is, you have to have a hearing on this. You can't annul a marriage by consent. So you're going to have to get up there. Somebody's going to have to go up there and so it's going to be pretty invasive testimony if you go through this. So you sort of want to have your ducks in a row to make sure that that's true.
People still think that you have to sign off on the divorce. Like, no, there's no signing off and agreeing on divorces
that's right.
or anything. But at least with a divorce, you don't have to show why.
Correct. we're no fault. So a lot of times and especially at the divorce hearing, nobody cares.
Yeah.
If there was any fault. It doesn't have any relevance to anything.
Married? You separated? It's been a year?
Year and a day? Okay.
So the impotence, like I was just doing another podcast with doctors and they said 52% of men can't have babies. Because
I think 100% of men can't have babies. But
I'm sorry. I meant to say that they're impotent in the sense of they don't have the adequate sperm count to have babies.
Interesting.
Because the way we eat and certain things with microplastics and stuff like the ability to have a baby is 52% of men can't. So you're saying a woman can get an annulment if the man is in that category? Is that?
Well, no, it's not that they can't. It's getting a little technical, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not that you can't get an erection or have sex. You are impotent. You cannot have. It's like you would need. That's what you need. Erectile dysfunction. It would be something like that.
Oh, okay. So it's not really the ability to have a baby so much as the ability to have sex.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Right.
Can't get it up.
Right.
I needed that definition.
That's a technical term for it.
Dumb it down for me over here.
Yeah. So, I haven't had a case like that.
Which seems a little sexist to me.
I know.
Because there's nothing on here about if you just don't want to have sex. That's not a reason to annul your marriage.
Yeah, the doctor's note. It says the doctor needs to. I don't know. There's not a lot of case law on this subject.
There isn't.
Hey y'all, it's Jen with New Direction Family Law, and if you've ever been through a divorce, you may have guessed or found out that determining who gets what property can be one of the most complicated and confusing issues of divorce. It is so important that you are represented by an experienced family law attorney who knows marital property law and will advocate for your best interest. New Direction Family Law has over 30 years experience protecting the rights of our clients and their assets. We aggressively advocate, we support, and we absolutely educate our clients to achieve the best possible outcomes. So give us a call today to schedule an initial consultation at 919-719-3470, or you can reach us at our website at newdirectionfamilylaw.com. We've got your assets covered.
Lack of consent. Talk about that. Then you have we're just talking about lack of consent.
Yeah, age or just the mental capacity to consent to the...
To know that what you're consenting to, correct. So it would be sort of like when you said, can a 25-year-old man come and marry a 16-year-old, not without their parents, or 14-year-old, not without their parents' consent. But a 16-year-old begs the question, do you, like you said, do you have the capacity to know what you're getting into?
I don't think you have capacity for anything.
Are they being manipulated? Because isn't that a thing?
Correct.
Like when you're an older person asserting your will on a younger person, isn't there some criminal aspect to that?
Yeah, the grooming.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of what the statutory rape part is about, or sexual predators and that sort of thing. It is a grooming sort of process kind of thing.
It is.
It's a bare minimum creepy, but I know that's not a legal thing.
Well, then you get somebody pregnant, and then I don't need anybody's consent.
Yeah.
That's the other issue.
I mean, it's a power and control
right.
cycle that you learn about when you have domestic violence cases.
Right.
But can you get an annulment after you have a baby?
I don't think so.
No,
I would think not.
Yeah, can't.
You can get a divorce, but
Get
you
divorced,
can't
but not the
get an
annulment.
annulment.
That's another thing. Like the mental capacity could be like you can't marry someone in a coma. Like,
Well, you see that you're talking about like on television. That does not happen.
they bring the priest in.
Yeah, that's a Sandra Bullock movie right there. I think we've all seen
Yeah.
it.
The Hallmark movie, Hallmark Christmas.
No.
Mistaken belief of pregnancy. That's
So-
what I did not know. I hadn't looked at the statute in a while.
So that's like, yeah, I'm pregnant. Let's get married. Have a shotgun, wedding, and then like 2 years later, still no baby.
Then you can get annulled.
You can get annulled. Or just like, psych, that never happened.
Right. So, but you have heard of that. I've heard of that. And what was the other one?
There's fraud.
Fraud. That's very interesting. And how do you prove that? And what would that be? And we had a question about.
Well, it's going to be like, but if you had this information, you wouldn't have married them.
But and that can be pretty individualized, I would think, that there's not a list on the statute of this applies.
No.
It would have to be sort of, this is for me as you may not feel this way, but I would feel this way.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of case law on that either.
Right.
But, when you found out that information, did you stay with them still? Like, that's not going to look good on you.
Right. But for this, 6 months down the road, I'd say no, that there's probably something else going on there that they want to get out of the marriage, but it has nothing to do with what they're saying might have been the fraud.
Yeah, and some other examples of this is a lot of times for immigration status,
right?
Which I did see in the case law, and I didn't know that he wasn't a citizen or she wasn't a citizen,
right.
But that wouldn't really. How do you say that would change your mind?
Well, that's the thing. It's got to be really. I would not have married this person, but for.
Yeah,
and it's not because he went and cheated on me. That does not count.
Yeah.
Would you guys take a case if somebody said, hey, I want to try to get an annulment because I found out after we got married that my spouse has $200,000 in debt and they didn't tell me?
Well, I mean, I think you'd have to look at it a little more, but it has to be pretty fact specific. That's would alter your life and your lifestyle and a lot of things,
Yeah, but would it be reasonable not to ask that question before you got married? That's another part of this, and the judge
saying, well, yeah, it's a reasonable. Well, if it is a reasonable person standard, I don't.
it should be.
Should be. Like, would a reasonable person do this?
If they lied about it, then that would fall under fraud, right? Like, I asked if they had debt, and they said a little bit.
I mean,
I think there's some assumption of risk here too if you aren't asking certain questions
or doing some research on your sort of like what we were just talking about with the financial planner. You need to ask these questions. We're so afraid to talk about money for some reason in this country.
Like someone gives you a ring, like, great, let me see your credit report.
Right. Or is this a real ring?
Yeah. Like, what's going on? But
and it has to be something that happened prior to your getting married. If it happened after you got married, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
If he's just a jerk, that's not going to.
Yeah, but all of these are examples. I mean, it really is case specific, and it's not easy.
No,
that's why you don't see a lot of these cases.
That's why you don't see a lot of them. But talk about a little bit about the difference between what happens when you get annulled legally and what happens when you get separated or divorced legally. They're two separate things, right? That can happen.
Well, right. There's a lot of law that is attached to marital property, what you can get. I mean, there's a whole protection. So, I mean, it might not even be beneficial for you to get an annulment if you're seeking alimony or if you've been together for a long time and there's retirement to divide.
Right. So it really is like if annulment means you were never married. So you're not afforded the rights that a married person would have, even though and we don't have, I my brain has just died. And you're not married, but you've lived together a long time.
Yeah. See, we don't have that here. And that's why we can't think of the word.
I know. I remember that was on my bar exam question.
When you live together, you're not married. And then like the state just treats you as if you're married.
Is that common law?
Yes.
Common law marriage, yes.
I think we had that in Michigan. That's right.
We just wiped it from our brain here in North Carolina.
Or
it doesn't
community
matter.
property, sort of the same thing. But yeah, you're not getting anything here.
No, and that's like a whole nother subject. So you can contract with your boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, what have you, and, protect yourself that way. Like, you don't want to get married for whatever reason, fine. But, you have a house together. Well, let's put in a contract what will happen to the house if you guys break up.
Right. And I thought she was so smart. She came in, she was very young. They were been living together, but she was inheriting some money. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to use the money to go down on the house. And so she came, very specific what we did. I mean, we added all the sort of other things, but specifically she wanted, if this house, if we sell it or something happens, I want my money back because it was my inheritance. Mm-hmm. And people just think that you'd get it back anyway.
No,
and you don't. So I thought that was really thinking ahead, girl. You did good on that.
Cohabitation agreement. I've done a few of those, and it's good because like at the time you're like, oh, he would never not give it back to me.
Absolutely,
girl. You don't know
that.
No,
you can be married 20 years and he's still not going to give it back.
No,
to
people
you.
change. People are greedy. Like, protect yourself.
Right, and you think about it. Let's say and just because the house is in your name alone, if he's living there and y'all aren't married, what are you going to do? How are you going to get him out?
That's the.
I can't evict. I mean, not paying rent. He's
Where's
not on the lease.
Yeah,
that's right.
like I've run into that problem before. Mm-hmm. So, that is nasty. And that your hands really are tied.
They are. So if you want to leave, you can leave. That's great. But you won't stay in your house till something happens.
Your boyfriend turns into a squatter. Oh, gonna regret that one.
That would suck. Really
It would suck.
But the only thing I would say to them, at least you didn't marry him. So
at least you didn't marry them, I guess. Yeah.
So we're going off topic a little bit. So we can have cohabitation agreements, right? So that just deals with property, right? And then we can have premarital agreements, prenups, which sort of the same thing, but that's only valid. You could sign off on it, be done, and call off the wedding. That contract's no good.
Right, exactly.
And then
even in an annulment, you can get an annulment and then a prenup is invalidated
because you were never married.
Right,
I guess that would be true. Mm-hmm. And then there's and even if you're married, you can have a postnup to deal with property. Let's say you're going to get a big inheritance or you won the lottery or something. You can still do because married folks can contract about how you're going to do property and things.
Yep, exactly.
So we can protect you at all three stages of whatever happens that way. Mm-hmm. Right?
And it's important to protect yourself.
I think so. And as you always say, I mean, I think prenups and those sorts of things are great. It doesn't mean you're getting divorced. It has this connotation that if you do this, you're just expecting to get divorced.
Yeah, and I think it's quite the opposite,
to
be honest. Like, you're talking about important things that are going to help keep your relationship healthy and have communication about money, which plenty of people end up fighting about. And that is a big reason why we've seen separations and divorce.
That's right. And plus, in a prenup, I always make people, you got to come clean. Mm-hmm. Everybody's got to disclose what they have. And I always attach an exhibit of what everybody has.
And people are like, oh, I don't have anything. Well, you know what people do have? Debt.
That's right.
That's what you don't want. So I don't care. You might have like nothing in the bank, but if you're marrying someone with $50,000 in debt,
you want to know
that's a
big deal, and you want to be protected from that.
Yeah, I tell them, okay, well, if you're worried about them, racking up credit card fees like during your marriage and spending it on whatever, the best thing to do is get a prenup.
I have people all the time to go, I paid off their student loan, $500,000. It's really nice of you to do that, but you're not getting any payback for that, sir.
Yeah.
Or ma'am, I'm sorry, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah, that sucks.
That sucks.
Yeah, sucks for you. Yeah. So there's a lot of ways to protect yourself with a prenup and just a good conversation to have. And I love doing that because then I get to say, congrats, now you can go get married.
I know. And it's like we don't get a lot of happiness in our job. And to see two people start off on the right foot, and then you hope I never see you. I love you. You're a great client, but I hope I never see you again.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
So I like them. I enjoy them. And you can get real crafty with them.
I think so. You can be really creative with them, too, for your specific circumstance. Mm-hmm. I've got a little off topic from annulments.
Yes. So depending on your circumstances, you might want an annulment for after the holidays. You might want a divorce. I don't know, but either way, we can help you.
Yeah, we can. Either way, we're happy to help.
All right. Happy holidays. Ain't that some shit?
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to leave us a review. You can visit us at newdirectionfamilylaw.com. You can also follow us on Instagram at the Exit Strategy _podcast or email us at exitstrategy@newdirectionfamilylaw.com. We'll be back next time with more no bullshit content about life, divorce, parenting, relationships, and everything in between.